Hi, it's Ivan Mashenko from Ruby Red Farms. We grow certified organic blueberries here at the farm. Today I want to share some secrets and tips from a commercial organic blueberry farmer that you can use at home or on your farm. And it comes with one of the most commonly questions that I get asked: what kind of fertilizer do you use on the farm? Now, I'm hoping that you can see these blueberry plants behind us. They're loaded. And we've already gone through and picked these bushes 2, maybe 3 times already, and we still have a long ways to go. So we're having a fantastic yield, but this healthy and abundant fruit is a direct result of the kind of fertigation and fertilization program that we use here at Ruby Red Farms. The first thing I'm going to tell you before you get too far in this video is I won't be sharing with you exactly what we do, and there's a couple reasons for that. So over the years we've done a lot of experimentation, and our fertilization program is proprietary. Alright, so what would be the point of watching this video? Well, I'm going to share a lot of information that helps you develop your own program. The second reason I'm not going to tell you exactly what we're doing is because every year it changes. There has never been a year where our fertilization program has been the same. And as a result, I want to share tips and techniques that we use to design our program every year. The third reason is that many of you are growing blueberries at home, in your gardens, on your small farms, and there are things that we do at a commercial level that probably are not very practical at a smaller scale. And so that's the third reason I won't share everything that we do. But again, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of helpful tips and information about how you can design your own program. I'm going to start by saying that a great place to start is by doing a Google search on commercial blueberry production or commercial blueberry fertilization. And specifically, the sites that I want you to go and check out are the universities. There are certain universities that have agricultural programs that have an absolute wealth of information. It will take you a short amount of time to find these sites and actually to read what is being recommended for commercial commercial farms. Throw in the word organic if you want to do organic farming, and I would strongly recommend and encourage you to do so. By putting in the word commercial and production, you're going to avoid a lot of the sites from home growers where, they have helpful tips, but I've found in the past there's not a lot of necessarily correct information or information that's been vetted through a lot of studies that the universities working with farmers have really worked out over the years. So today we're going to talk a lot about some of the techniques and tips and secrets that we've discovered here over the years. And I'm going to start by sharing with you a little bit about what fertilization looks like over the course of a year. When we first started farming, we didn't do a lot of fertilization. There was a lot of stuff done in the spring, and then the plants are kind of left on their own to work with what's on the ground and what's available to them. I will tell you that my learning and my connection to plants has changed over the years. I don't really look at these plants as necessarily as a utility or a resource. They're part of my fellow inhabitants here on the farm and on the planet. And I'm going to start by asking a question. Would you feed your kids once or twice a year? And obviously the answer is no. They wouldn't live very long, and it just doesn't make a lot of common sense. Well, you know what? When it comes to gardening vegetables or fruit, a lot of people do the same thing. They want that easy path, the easy answer. What do I need to put down once or twice a year and be done with fertilization? And it just doesn't work that way on our farm. We have a fertilization program that we develop a year in advance. Around the middle of August, I start by taking soil and leaves from various sites across our field, and we send that into labs. The labs do the analysis. They tell us what is happening with nutrients in the soil. They tell us about the acidity level. They give us information on the cation exchange in the soil, gives us an idea of percentage organic material. So there's a whole bunch of information that comes just from looking at the soil. But we combine that by actually looking at what's happening in the leaf. And what we do is around the middle of August, we take the 7th leaf off a new cane that is grown this year, and we send that in and do tissue analysis. And that actually tells us what nutrients the plant has taken up from the ground. This is extremely important information. You know, it's one thing to look at what's in the soil, but we really want to find out what's happening in the actual plant. And then we combine those things, and then we work, I work with a extremely experienced blueberry expert, 4th generation blueberry farmer in the lower mainland. The family has been probably one of the earliest blueberry farmers, and we work together to come up with the program for the following year. And I can tell you that between April and the end of this September, every week there is something happening in terms of fertilization. There's 3 ways that we fertilize. The first one is by putting dry materials on the ground. You'll notice that I do have landscape cloth here along the sides of our raised beds. In the middle is sawdust. When we go in the spring and in the fall to apply any kind of dry materials, we actually pull this landscape cloth back on both sides of the row and apply those fertilizers. That's kind of step 1. The second technique that we use is fertigation. So we have injection systems. We use what's called a chemilizer pump. Fantastic. I just love the design. It's very simple. It's very robust. We do maintenance on them almost every year, but they really have been bomb-proof. Chemilizer is the name of the company that builds this system to inject water-soluble fertilizers, organic fertilizers. There's many more organic water-soluble fertilizers available today that were not available when we first started organically farming. So this is a real blessing. I can tell you that almost every week there's something being included in our irrigation program to help feed the plants. And why wouldn't they? Every day this plant is changing. You know, it's growing, it's producing fruit, it needs different types of nutrients throughout the entire growing season. And so what we're aiming to do is we're aiming to provide the nutrient that the plant needs at a certain cycle during the year. So that's number 2. Fertigation is used continuously, April through September, different types of things that we're putting down through the fertigation lines. In order to maintain our drip lines for as long as possible, we're doing a lot of maintenance on them. We're flushing them out usually after, you know, I would say probably once a month easily. The third technique that we use is foliar sprays. So we're mixing water, again, with some kind of water-soluble fertilizer, and that gets sprayed on right directly to the leaves. I think of it as a spa treatment. They're getting, you know, they're getting a nutrient delivered right to the source. Doesn't have to be absorbed through the soil, through the root system. And we're doing that probably, I would say, 4 or 5 times a year. So again, we're using, you know, I can name a few things that we're using, but again, it'll be up to you to research and figure out how to scale it and make it manageable, right? We have people that are, you know, I have someone working here full-time looking after fertilization at a home garden level. That's not going to work. But I would encourage you to do more than just applying some dry material once or twice a year that you pick up at the local nursery. Like, really get to know these plants. Let's talk about pH. When you read some of these articles online, I will tell you that they are going to encourage very low pH. I am not in favor of that. At low pH, beneficial microbes and bacteria do not live very well. Many will simply not survive. That goes against the grain of what we're trying to do organically. Having said that, blueberry plants have a very interesting capability. If they're in soil that's too basic, they will produce a molecule, I think it's a hydrogen ion, and release it into the soil, which makes the soil more acidic. So you can't go too basic, because now the plant's going to invest energy into creating more acidic situation in the soil. Some of the information that you see, I think will probably suggest 4.8 to 5.2 for acidity. I don't aim for that. I'm in a 5.6 to 5.8 range. You know, a lot of experts have kind of balked at me. Well, guess what? Here's the results. Look behind. Again, we've already been through these plants. We've picked them 2 or 3 times, but we got lots more to go here still. That range, I think, in an organic situation is good. It's a balance. It's acidic enough where the plants themselves do very well. It's basic enough that we're still providing some room for the beneficial microbes to do what they need to do. So that's a bit on acidity. Calcium is very important. If you're putting down limestone, then you might make your soil too basic. So gypsum is a good source of calcium. It's got sulfur in it, but it is pH neutral. So if you need to go more acidic, sulfur that's available for certified organic farming is a good way to lower the pH. Limestone is a good way to raise it. If you just want to get calcium in the soil, which is so important for the cation exchange, then go with gypsum. It's a good neutral way to get calcium into the soil. We do use a number of different water-soluble products to get nitrogen, phosphate, and phosphorus in the soil. Again, it depends what's happening in the field, whether we're in blossom, end of blossom, you know, the fruit is forming, will determine what we're using. And that's part of the secret formula for the farm that I can't necessarily share, but I think if you do the research and find some of the commercial farming techniques, they'll lay out a program for you that works for you. Foliar sprays, I can share that we do use kelp products. Other micronutrients, iron, zinc, boron at the right time of the year are very critical to support different types of processes that are going on in the fall. For example, you know, boron's important for leaf bud formation for the coming year. So those are some things that you'll read as you're going through your research to figure out the timing of what to apply when. But again, do your homework and figure out what works good for you, right? We're doing something every week that might not be practical for you at home, but I really encourage you not to get into the mode of just fertilizing once or twice a year. It just won't work well for the plants. It will not thrive. You'll not get the kind of fruit, and it's just not healthy for these plants. It's not the way we eat. We eat 3+ meals a day, grazing in between, 5 or 6 times we're eating a day. Think about plants. They're doing something every moment. And so during the growing season, you know, love your plants up, give them what they need as they go through the bud break, bud swelling, blossoms, fruit formation. You go through picking and then they get ready for the fall. Get them ready, give them what they need for the fall, and you'll be rewarded with wonderful fruit from your blueberry bushes.